what we really want to talk about, and that is M1 Pro first impressions. We talked about it last week. Terrance and I both um, ordered M1 MacBook Pro 16-inch, M1 chip MacBook Pros. We got them on Tuesday. We both set them up. I am actually recording the show from my M1 machine. I normally do it on my Mac Mini. And So I come downstairs to kind of sit up and get ready. I got my new Mac. I'm going to record from that. Let's get an idea. Well, there are a couple of things that were blockers in my normal setup. As you can see, I am using my AirPod Pros, which you normally see. But what you don't know is that I typically use the microphone, an external microphone, a Yeti mic. Well, my Yeti is not set up for all of the USB-C ports that are on the M1. The camera that I'm using the native camera that is built into the M1. So you can kind of see a little bit of difference. Terrance is using his external camera. I'm using the built-in. He's using his Yeti mic. I'm using the mic from my AirPods. So if you do hear a little bit of, difference in quality from the normal audio, it's going to be for that reason. So
Right. So you
that's the
more so than
preface.
me
Right.
are really field testing your M1 Mac more so than I am because you're using the native camera
Mm-hmm.
and you are using the connectivity between your AirPods
Mm-hmm.
and your new MacBook for audio for a microphone. So you're using it more than I am now, not to get too much into my impressions, but my main issue, my main reason why I wanted a newer Mac was because anytime I produce the show, the way me and Nica do it is we kind of trade off. So one week she'll produce the show, the next week I'll do it. So this is her week to
Mm-hmm.
actually produce the show. Next week when I'm producing the show, that's when I'll do my real field test because again, my major issue with my old Mac is anytime I tried to record and stream live, my fans would kick up something terrible. Now, right
Mm-hmm.
now, of course, since I'm only joining a video chat for lack of a better, for all intents and purposes, I'm only joining a video chat. So that's not really labor intensive as far as the processor, as far as the RAM, graphics, anything like that. Next week, when I'm actually producing the show and I'm recording and I'm streaming, then I'll be able to give you the real test. But again, as far as my very first impressions, I love the machine. You know, it's thicker than my 2016 MacBook Pro. It's heavier, but it feels more svelte. The edges are, as far as the physical look, it kind of gives you more of a pro feeling than just a thin MacBook. The stereo sound quality is so much better. I used FaceTime just a little bit just to test it. I actually FaceTime my mom today, and the camera, the 1080p camera, the FaceTime camera that comes in the notch that a lot of people hate, which personally I don't have a problem with.
It doesn't bother me.
I can't even see it now because I'm in Chrome, full screen Chrome, and the way the Chrome window works is it gives you a little bit more of a bar on the top, but it covers up the notch. So I can't even see the notch right now. So unless you've got a major app that has a whole bunch of menu items at the top to where it runs into the notch, you're not going to notice it. So I think that's just people complaining because that's
They
what people
can.
do with
Yeah.
Apple products. They got to find something to nitpick, and the notch is the major nitpick.
And
Um,
I saw somewhere where someone put all of this stuff in the toolbar. And it's like, see who designed this? Half the stuff is behind it. So it was like tracking the CPU usage. I'm like, who's doing that
right.
other than to
Besides
like
you.
do some besides you and maybe if you're doing some benchmarking and you want to see some performance. But for
Right.
the most part, you're never gonna do that again.
Right.
So chill.
And most people are using dark mode. So as soon as dark mode switches over, whether you're doing it when sunset hits or you're using dark mode all the time, you won't even see the notch. So
No.
that's a little gripe about that. Um, Again, another one of my things that I miss is the touch bar, because I do some video editing, and I was actually got accustomed to how the touch bar switched according to what software or what program you're using. I don't have that anymore. So, but on the positive, I can just do volume up and volume down. I can do play, pause, fast forward, and rewind quicker on this Mac than I can do on the touch bar, because those are the most common buttons that pretty much anybody uses. So on the old touch bar, if you were listening to music like on a separate desktop or on another screen that wasn't the primary screen, you had to switch over to the music app, and then the volume buttons and the play, pause, fast forward buttons would reveal themselves on the touch bar for you to use them. So with this, it's just a straight click, 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 right? So
Mm.
that's a benefit, even though I do still kind of miss all the functionality of my touch bar. Other than that, the MagSafe port um, is very strong. It's not as easy to knock out as previous versions of the Mac that use the MagSafe. I mean, this thing, once you get it in here and it snaps in there, you
It's
really
in
have to
there.
yank at it to get it out. Another benefit is the threaded or braided cable, that
Hmm.
the power cable that comes with the M1 Mac. It's not that flimsy cable that everybody seemed to complain about, which again, nobody is giving Apple credit for actually upgrading to the braided, more sturdy cable when they didn't have it. That's all everybody claimed. I don't understand why I spend all this money for a MacBook and they come with this flimsy cable. Well, they fixed it and you didn't say, oh, you know what? Congrats, or, good on you to actually do
Hmm.
that. So again, that's
Yeah.
just, people poo-pooing just to be poo-pooing, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, man, the screen is so much clearer. It does the
Oh, it's the
120.
screen's so good.
Yeah, it does 120 hertz refresh rate, and you can tell the difference when you're swiping between different screens and you're moving the mouse around and you're doing some graphics processing, or editing videos or editing music. You can definitely see the smoothness of the actual screen, and it's larger. Like, so we've got the 16 inches, and you can tell it is larger without taking up more. It doesn't take up that much space, but it's a actual larger resolution. So that was um, definitely welcomed. So other than that, those are my main first impressions. Again, I'll have to use it a little bit more specifically next week to get my real impressions. I've done a little bit of video editing and rendering. Um, Nothing heavy yet, so I really haven't had time to put it through its paces to give you a real kind of like thumbs up or thumbs down. But based on what I've got right now, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I have been enjoying mine so far. I will get into some editing later, either today or tomorrow, as I edit this show for audio and video. So I'll have a better, view or thoughts on how that works. But I completely agree. The screen refresh, the liquid display is mwah, chef's kiss. Um, the only thing I will say is I don't think I paid enough attention to is the preparation, meaning for existing devices that are not on USB-C, make sure if you haven't gotten yours yet um, that you have the necessary dongles and converters for any of your devices that may not have a USB-C port, which a lot of your older devices will not. So if you have like an all new outfit, then good for you. You'll probably be in good shape. But for me, like I said, my Yeti mic is not compatible.
And
Um,
your camera, right?
and my camera is not compatible. So it's just those type of things that aren't necessarily dings on the machine. It's more of a lack of preparation on my behalf because we reviewed this. We were at the Apple announcement. I knew exactly what was going to be coming, and yet and still I was not prepared. I
well,
was just going to
maybe.
walk downstairs with my
Well,
machine and keep going.
Well, maybe, I'm not speculation, but probably par for the course for what a lot of people did is
Mm-hmm.
when Apple announced this new MacBook Pro with these new ports, well, not new
Mm-hmm.
ports, when they added more ports,
Mm-hmm.
people probably assumed, oh, all my peripherals will work. No. Your HDMI port will work if you
Yep.
are going to external displays. You won't have to sacrifice a Thunderbolt 4 or USB-C port for power. So with them adding the MagSafe back, now you have a separate power and data transfer. But if
Mm-hmm.
you still want to use your Thunderbolt 4 port as a power, it can do that as well. But you get, in theory, you get an extra port because you don't have to sacrifice the power for the data transfer. But other than that, oh, and the USB-C slot. So if you're a person that's taking pictures, doing video, and you need to pop your SD card
SD
into your
card.
Mac, you can do that. Other than that, if you got any USB-A, which is the traditional USB ports, again, like Nika said, that is for our Yeti mics and any sort of old school, not old school, but earlier cameras. Yeah, you're gonna need a dongle for that.